One. Hi, everyone. I think we're here and I did this correctly. We will find out in a few seconds when my screen catches up to the rest of chat. But yeah, oh my god, I haven't been live in I think some of y'all have, but I haven't been on live anything for quite some time now. Okay, it looks like it's working.
Yeah, there we go.
We did it.
Let's go.
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I can't believe that I made this I feel like something's going to go horribly wrong. Okay, no, it's not. I shouldn't say these things. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Harbingers Chapter 3, Hell on Earth chat back. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all so much for just watching the season, just being here. It means a lot. We put a lot into this, a lot of time, a lot of blood, a lot of tears, a lot of sweat, a lot of things. And it means a lot. It means a lot to have y'all here. So thank you for that. And we're very excited to chat about all of this and just kind of have a little bit of closure of this season. That's kind of what I'm looking for here today. So the intended plan is to not go past 8 tonight. So everybody sort of knows when we intend to end, unless something goes wild and changes, but I want to respect everybody's time. And then, I don't know. What else am I supposed to say? Let's say who we are real quick, even though you can see it below. But I will let you know who I am. I am Meghan Caves. I am the owner of Gone Rogue Entertainment that produces Harbingers with all these fine folks. And I'm the Marshal of this season overall for the most part. And then I also play Jexa Maddox, who's the captain of the Perfection. She's a 52-year-old woman who has seen some hard shit. And she's a toxic shaman. I should probably tell you that. Yes, important here on Hell on Earth. Oh gosh, I gotta remember how to look at chat. Hi, everyone. Meghan put so much blood into this, y'all. I did put a lot of blood into it. Yes, my God. An upsetting amount of blood. Thank you, Jacey. Thank you for letting everybody know that. Let's meet the cast. Let's start. I'm going to start with Adam. Adam, tell us who you is. Tell us your character. Just a brief little. I mean, everybody knows, but just so we have some. This is the order of things I know to do. So go, Adam.
Yeah, of course. Hello, friends, and welcome to Harbingers Chapter. I am one of your co-cast host members tonight, Adam Kahn. I played Scuzz Twittly, who we later found out is actually a twin brother to Hattie Marth. He actually is named Killian Marth, which was loads of fun. He was a junker in the world of Hell on Earth, which we were talking about it the other night. I had a lot of fun playing that in class, and I hope we get into all that stuff a little bit later. So, hi, hello, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you. Hello. Hi. Let's hop up to Diana, since you're sitting right next to each other.
Pass it to you. Okay, there you go.
Thanks. Hi, wonderful people out there. I am Diana Restrepo. I played Aster Hawksley, the scavenger loner, lost everyone, lost everything, walked on the earth by herself, or the planet, wherever we are, for so many years by herself until she finds the crew. She takes care of the hydroponics and let me figure out this term here. Got mind wiped by Kesh, which I'm still very upset about.
How do you feel about that?
But we can talk about that later. But anyway, no, I just think it's funny because I was just rewatching everything. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you guys all for watching and coming to hang out with us and talk to us. And ask us anything you want.
Yes,
that's
indeed.
me.
Thank you. Okay, let's hop over to let's hop down to Randy. Randy, same thing. Tell us who you are. Tell us a little bit about your character, and go.
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Randy Alvarenga. I played Miguel Ortiz this season, our little friendly bookworm guy, also fighter. I know Star Drew, not enough weapons for you, but we'll rectify that in the season. Yeah, I really was excited about this season, specifically because it was the first season that we had to know more. So I'm excited to talk about it and answer a lot of questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Randy. Sorry, I'm just listening to y'all and I'm like, wow, that was great what Randy just said. And I'm like, wait, I have to talk. Philip, tell us about you and all the things you do.
Okay. Hi, I'm Philip J. Rossi. I played Kesh, the Syker, on this chapter of Harbingers. And I also was the sometimes Marshal. Very excited to be here with all of you and all of my lovely friends.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Sweet. Let's get into it, y'all. Let's answer some questions. So we have a few that were submitted ahead of time, and those are the ones we are going to answer first, and then we will answer questions from chat if y'all have any. And then I also have some things I'm curious about that I think would be fun to discuss. And if y'all have anything, we'll get to that too. Yeah. So let's start off. And let me find all of my tabs here because I have so many of them. Okay, first question, and this one comes to us from the Civil Savage. Thank you so much, the Civil Savage. This question for each of you is, what is your favorite color?
Character color or like our color?
I think we should answer both.
Okay.
So let's go. We'll start with Adam again. And Adam, tell us Adam's favorite color, and then tell us Killian / Scuzz's favorite color.
Yeah.
I should also real quick just mention there are going to be spoilers in this. Spoilers. Big spoilers. Okay. So nothing is off the table here. If you have not watched it and you do not want to be spoiled, then you should leave now.
Right,
okay.
Right now.
Come back after you watch. Come back after watching.
Yeah.
Sounds
throwing
right.
that out there. All right. Okay. Sorry, Adam. Yes. Continue on your.
I would say that definitely my favorite color is blue. Also works out great. I'm a Ravenclaw. It's blues everywhere. I would say Killian's color. I feel like he would be very kind of like a warm color because of dealing with the ship a lot. So like an orange, like especially kind of staying back in that end of the room where it's nice and warm and everything as well too.
I like that. Yeah, that's good. I feel orange feels very Killian to me. Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Diana. Your favorite color and Aster's.
All right. Well, growing up, this is just a side note. Growing up, I remember like, I can't like pink. It's too girly. I'm not too girly anymore. I'm not girly. So I would like force myself to like blue. So I loved blue for the longest time, but I like pink. Damn it. As an adult, I like pink.
Great.
And I think for Aster, she likes all the colors, especially since she's a florist. And I think when she sees those bright colors, if she saw them in her travels, she'd be so excited to see those colors. So I think she just loves all of it.
She likes rainbow. That's her color.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Randy, what is your favorite color, and then what is Miguel's?
Yeah, so I have probably my favorite color is like a crimson red, like a sort of very dark kind of red. And then for Miguel, I think it's more like, like that color brown that like old leather books become, like as they like say, like I feel like that's the color that he likes.
Yeah.
Like tanned leather, like dark leather.
Yeah, that feels right. Yeah, I like that. That makes sense. Sweet, thank you. Okay, Philip, what do you think? What's your favorite color, and what is Kesh's?
I think my favorite color has also got to be red. I also feel like it's baked in. Like my last name is Red, so I feel like it's just.
Wait, what language is it? In Italian?
Yeah, in Italian.
Okay.
Rossi.
Rossi.
Yeah.
Philip Red.
Yeah.
I didn't know this. I'm learning.
Neither.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then I think Kesh's favorite color is probably like like a really vibrant green. I feel like if you're hanging out in the wastes, like that's the color you see the least, is like the color of like live, lush vegetation.
True. That makes sense. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Sweet. Awesome. All right. My favorite color, not to jump on the bandwagon, but is also red. And has always been red since I was a kid. And then I kind of moved away from it for a while because I don't know. It's like it was too intense. It didn't feel right anymore. And then now I feel like I'm coming back to it. I'm like, yeah, red, you know. So that's me.
Yeah, kind of same. Yeah. We have the same like inner like thoughts.
Yep. And then I think of Jexa's favorite color is like silver. I feel like I feel like the way I think of her is it's really funny when I think of these characters because I can see what parts of me I put into them, not even intentionally. Anyway, and that's a side note. But Jexa, yeah, I think of her as like the life drained out of her like 16 years ago. For her, you know, and the life she has, it's not like she's not connected to it. There is a part of her that is, but she's kind of disassociated in a sense. And so I just think of her as like, almost like a color with everything drained out of it. So silver is a little nicer than white. She's angsty, Jody. She's angsty, like you said. Awesome. Thank you so much, Civil Savage. The next question
Great
is
question.
from Clint. Black. So the first one, this is a great question. Love this. So 4 players choose very different arcane backgrounds for chapter 3. Well, I guess all of us did. We have a bunch, yeah, except for you, but there's more to it. Wait for the question, Diana. What drew each of you to the one you chose? Bonus question for Diana.
Oh!
Non-arcane scavengers really embody the post-apocalyptic theme of Hell on Earth. Parentheticals, normal people just struggling to survive. But did anything else draw you to that type of character? So let's talk about the arcane backgrounds first, and then we'll come back to Diana. So we'll just keep going the same order. I'm just going to keep putting Adam in the hot seat because I don't know, it feels fun tonight. You're welcome, Adam.
Okay.
Hot
seat. Love it.
What my brain what drew you?
I was about to say, one question?
Right, yeah, I know. A lot of things.
Yeah, so I for me, I think with Junker, my thing that I always kind of wanted to play with, that sort of role was always like an engineer or something. Like I was really into wanting to run like a Firefly game, and there's all these other really cool space dramas and everything too. And when I thought of engineers, well, too, when we came across the archetypes, then I saw Junker, and I'm just like, oh, well, how much really can I dive into that? And there's a lot that a Junker can freaking do, which is really cool. I think with a Junker, there's only like 5 or 6 powers that you can't do with it. But it was,
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. But I think it was just the fact of being able to play so much, and I think trying to think of creative ways, because that's one thing I've always loved to do is like with magic and everything. I like to try to think of creative ways on how to do that, and with being able to do that so much with the Junker and the area that we were in, I was really drawn to that. I thought that was going to be just a lot of fun, and I was right. I had a hell of a blast playing the Junker. I would totally do it again.
That's awesome.
But there's other cool ones. Like Bookworms were great, and Talk Shit. Like all of you, like everything was just super cool with it too. I want to try like all of it now.
That's the major problem with some of these settings and Deadlands, if I do say so myself, is that there are too many cool things to do and be that you can't do it all at once. Like that, I haven't played all of the Deadlands settings, but in all of the ones I have played, in all of the settings in general in Savage Worlds I have played, I want to play everything, and it sucks because I can't do it all at once. So thanks a lot, Pinnacle. anyway, I totally know the feeling. That's awesome. Awesome. Okay, sweet. Let's chat with Randy. Randy, what drew you? I feel like you were talking about this literally the other day. I swear we were talking about anyway. But yeah, what drew you to Bookworm?
Yeah. So there's a couple of things. One, I tend to find myself drawn to like magic that like I like being learned. So I like wizards and like study and that kind of thing. But I'd never thought about like the magic behind like keeping knowledge going after the apocalypse. Like that idea was so cool. I remember just like reading all of the things in there, and I was just like, yeah, like that's so important. Like there has to be that sort of hope there. And so I was like, okay, my guy's going to want to be a part of that, like building up magic, using these book spirits, and that is cool too, like the emotion tied to like books, because I think of myself as a reader and how I have like these connections to stories from different parts of my life. And yeah, so I think it was sort of those things that led me to want to be a bookworm.
That's cool.
So it's really
That's
cool. Yeah.
I feel you. Bookworm, I am also very drawn to Bookworm. I think like I'm drawn to a lot of them, but Bookworm just, it's a cool concept, especially in a post-apocalyptic world. It's just a different concept than I've come upon, I suppose. Yeah. Cool. Thank you. Let's hop over to my brain keeps going, Kesh. Let's hop over to Philip. Philip, what drew you to Syker? And I feel like I know the answer to this, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Oh, I'll be really curious to hear what you think. I mean, I first read it and I was like, how could this not be the choice? Like, this is, and like, I love the idea of someone with like psychic powers and like the whole like backstory of, you know, coming from a different planet. Like, I just loved all of that, you know, like angsty, cool, like PTSD sort of background. And then like doing cool stuff with your mind is just so cool. I don't know what you're going to say. I'm curious. I feel like you're going to say because it's like super powered or something like that.
That is what I'm
Exactly.
But that's because I know that you like the like rules and you like playing with them and doing that kind of stuff. And I feel like the Sykers specifically really lend themselves. I mean, everything lends itself to that, but really lends itself to like some intense powers, which just feels so Philip to me.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, yeah. I just, I mean, that is the G in RPG, and I do love games, so I love the, you know, and I love how Savage World sort of rewards that, like, I'm gonna do this, and I'll take this negative thing to do this positive thing. So I was like, I wanna choose like Veteran of the Wastes and like get some cool new stuff, but I really wanted to like hurt, you know, and it hurt.
Yeah.
So it was fun.
Yeah. That's awesome. Awesome. Thank you. I will talk about Toxic Shaman, I guess. You know, I don't know. I feel like for me to talk about any aspect of, wow, my ear thing keeps falling out. Any aspect of anything that I did for this show, I have to talk about how burned out I was. I did not know at the time that I was burned out. Because it's a thing called autistic burnout, which is a little bit different, which I have since learned about, since most of you probably know if you follow me, that I got an autistic diagnosis right kind of directly after the filming of this. So it was really influencing that. So why I'm saying this is there was a lot of stuff that I was trying to do all at once, and I didn't feel like I had a chance to put in as much as I wanted to in each individual place. Like, it definitely affected me in ways I wish it hadn't. But it's okay, you know, it's how it went. So having said all of that, in looking at all the things I wanted to do, I actually almost chose Bookworm at first, but then I was like, well, Randy chose that, and obviously we could both be Bookworms, that would be fine. But at the same time, I was like, okay, but I want to like play around with some other stuff. And of course, for me, when it comes to anything that seems just dark and sad and upsetting and has a really big negative, I'm gonna go for that one. So I really liked the idea of this. I wanted to play with this idea of this character that I wanted to play like with these motherly aspects, with this aspect of like, you know, being a bit of an older woman who's sort of like, in a sense, she's not a mother, but she is sort of a mother to this crew. And I thought adding the toxic shaman piece, that's kind of this like, you know, like using this toxic radiation stuff to add into this motherly side, was this really interesting, weird juxtaposition that I really liked. So that's maybe an in-depth answer, but I guess that's what I do. But yeah, it's I feel like it lent itself really well to the story I wanted to tell with this character, and I really was drawn to that. I like how dark it is. So yeah, Clint, yeah, definitely the pain of the world to try to make the world better. That is exactly kind of how her approach was, because she was like, everything's shit, but at least I can make things better while I have to be here in the process. Yeah, so that was my answer. Okay, we got one more question here. Oh, wait, we haven't had Diana's answer. Almost skipped you because we were going to come back to you. So here, let me. It's been a little while. Let me come back to you and tell you the question again.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so non-arcane scavengers really embody the post-apocalyptic theme of Hell on Earth. Normal people just struggling to survive. But did anything else draw you to that type of character?
To be honest, I have the hardest time always making characters. And I remember our first meeting, everyone at our first meeting was like, what do you want to play? What do you think you want to do? Like, you know, what kind of story do you want to tell? And I'm always like, I remember sitting on the couch going, I don't know. Like, I don't know. And I feel like once we start talking, I start to brainstorm and get more comfortable about what I want to do. And I try to fit myself in where the spots are not filled in. And to be fairly honest, I had no idea I was not going to be the non-magic user until I started making my character and going, oh, actually, I don't do magic at all. Okay, that'll be fine because that's a challenge for me. I think that was a great challenge for me to not use magic where everyone else is using magic. I, as well as Meghan, love playing the dark characters, and especially since we're in a post-apocalyptic world, all I could think of was Resident Evil with Mila Jovovich in the third movie, where she's walking alone in the desert, and I'm like, that's me with my falcata, even though we called it a machete or whatever. But yeah, I'm like, that is me. That is me. I'm gonna walk alone. Yeah, that's kind of how I came about doing that character. It wasn't like intentional at first, but then I was like, okay, I guess we're gonna run with it. No magic. Here we go.
Yeah, I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you know, and I know you and I have talked about this, Diana, but I sometimes really like the challenge of a really simple character, because it gets me out. But for me, I get in my head with rules. Rules are hard for me. Yeah, yes. I think we both struggle with that. Are hard for me to keep hold of and maintain. Especially if they're new like that. Ooh boy, that's a tough thing for me. So sometimes having such a limited amount of things that I can do allows more activity for me.
Yes. Yeah. Sometimes if I have too much to see, I get very overwhelmed. So I was actually fine just not having to figure out PowerPoints and all of that stuff. That is definitely a thing for me as well.
Yes, I sometimes that leads me to better and more enjoyable role play. Oh, hello, cell phone. For myself as well. I told you, totally feel you on that.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much. Okay, we have one more question that is it's for Jody, this one, but it's from Clint as well. And Jody, I hope that your eye is healing well from your surgery. This question is for me and Philip. And they say, she says, I'd love to hear from Philip and Meghan how they collaborated as co-GMs while still keeping the story fresh for individual characters. So difficultly, with great difficulty. I don't know. You want to answer first, Philip? You have some thoughts?
I think generally what has worked, I think it's worked at least, is that we sort of like talk like, okay, I'm gonna start at this place, and like this is sort of the base background information that you'll need, and this is like the general plot. Sometimes I don't even know if that was even true on Eden Redux. Maybe it was. It was just like, this is sort of what's going on, and I am going to like end here. Like, expect to start GMing from this spot. And like in this case, I was picking up from Meghan. So Meghan was like, I'm going to end at this specific thing. And all you need to do, like your whole assignment is get the crew of the Perfection to Black Point. Like, do whatever you want, end there. And then apart from that, Meghan was just like, it's all you. And not...
I'm done.
I just want to say one of my favorite things as a player watching that transition was right after, because that was the episode with the library, and so the library thing happens, and then it was like, okay, it's break time. Actually, Philip, let's talk. And Philip had questions. Megan wanted to make sure, like, it was just like really cool to watch them go, okay, we just saw what happened. Now you get to know how that connected to what I told you before.
Yeah, I mean,
we were all outside.
Oh, no, we weren't watching that, but I remember watching them like at the very end of that episode being like, okay, let's meet. Let's talk about all the stuff.
Sure, because I knew nothing about the library or any of that stuff, so we ended and I was like, okay, I need to know. I think you see that in the beginning of that episode. I keep having to check back in with Meghan, because you're like, ask me a question. I'm like, So Meghan, like, I don't know information about that.
Yeah. Doing that is messy. It's real messy, because I definitely did a thing there where I was like, okay, I was thinking I need to end here so that Philip can like decide to go back to the ship or not go back to the ship, kind of like can go wherever. But what I didn't take into account is that I had just dropped this huge prophecy on the entire cast. And I was like, oh shit, I've made Philip deal with that. And he doesn't know. So I was kind of like, oh, okay, I gotta like, so it was definitely sort of messy in that transfer, but also like, this is such a foreign way for Philip and I both of doing this. Like, you know, we shot this season in 4 days. So like it's so condensed, and it's like you're trying to tell an entire campaign in a matter of days and hours, and then also jump on to this other thing. It's a work in progress, you know, this format. Yeah. So that's its own set of difficulty. I think it would be a different thing if I was like, okay, I'm going into my last episode. We have 2 weeks before Philip, you know, jumps in. Let me tell you where I'm at. Yeah. So that was difficult. And I do feel like we've done a surprising amount we've managed to keep a surprising amount of mystery for each other.
Totally.
Like, there's a ton that Philip still doesn't know about my overarching storyline. And I didn't know any of the stuff that Philip was planning. I mean, Jacey worked with Philip a bit. And so, you know, like...
He's a good go-between.
Jacey didn't tell me anything. Yeah. But yeah, so... It's messy. It's interesting. It's complex doing this, but it's also fun because there's an element to me. The purpose of it for me was so that we both get to play, and I want to play as well. So and it's a thing. It's cool and hard, and I don't know.
One thing I do want to add is like Jacey being here is so helpful as well. Because like in Eden Redux, I remember you were saying like, "Hey, I'm gonna play this kind of character," and JC was like, "You should probably talk to Megan about that."
That's funny.
So thank you, JC, for keeping us on rails sometimes.
She's helpful. She's helpful with that. Knowing this, like I know this system better than I know any other rules system ever because I played it for so long. Which is one thing that I really also like about it is that I've been able to grok that because rules are hard for me, like I said. So, but she is a rules brain, and so those two things, she could be very helpful with that kind of stuff. So I love it. Yeah. Jody, it is awesome to be able to play NGM. It is complex. It is too much to have a PC and be GMing at the same time. You forget things like you're familiar the entire time.
It's just not.
Aww.
Like it's not fun to like have a like a GM PC. It's like more fun to play. You know, I think it's pretty. It can be really complicated and weird to like pass it off back and forth, but I think it's also like very rewarding. I found it very rewarding, and it's like a great challenge to like play with the materials that somebody else has provided you. You know, definitely doing things that I wouldn't do by myself. You know, because Megan's like, "What you need to do?" I'm like, "Oh, okay, like I'll do that."
Here you go.
But
I would agree with that. I like I personally, just as a person with this particular brain, I really like the challenge of going like, oh, here are the parameters you have to work in. Can you make that work? And I'm like, yes, I can every single time. And I like that challenge. So there's an element of that, to collaborating in this way and still trying to keep some mystery. We'll see how that works in chapter 4.
Up at night already. Gotta do this.
That's a whole other beast. So we'll get there when we get there.
So good.
But anyway, thank you for those questions. I know we've got a few that have come through chat. We've been saving those. So let me go over to those and we will take a look. So the first one, I believe, was from Jody. Let me find where it went. Yes. What are some of the stories from filming? Oh, stories from filming. I'm trying to think. Was there anything that was like that really popped up during filming? I don't know. It was so smooth.
Yeah, it was very smooth.
Yeah, I will say this is probably the smoothest sort of like they rented our space, and I was lucky enough to get to live in like that space, so I was there all the
we were down. Yeah.
Like when everyone would go home, the backdrop was still there, and I'd be like, "Oh, this is, I miss everyone. Can't wait for them to come back tomorrow." But yeah, I would say like one of my favorite stories is just like we had a lot of like fun, just like conversations while we were waiting outside when there was those sort of individual conversations going on with Philip. So there were a lot of chances for us to like know each other better. So I don't know, it kind of felt extra cool because like we weren't trying to figure out what was going on. We were like, hey, like talking about the day or like the different stories that we had seen so far. And it was just really cool. I remember at one point we were just talking like, there's still so much that we don't know. So yeah.
And we're talking about the collector going, who is the collector? Damn it.
We still don't know.
Who is this person?
I enjoyed our what felt like an evolution when it came to pictures, because our first season for Coven, we all came down. It was 2021. We were taking pictures and everything, and we were in his tiny little apartment. We're all like trying to get by, and then in Eden Redux, he was in like a bigger apartment, and then like the third one were like the studio and everything with it too. So it was like when he was going through the pictures, like he was evolving with us as well, which was a lot of fun.
That's true. Yeah. Andrew, both Andrew and Zach actually, who Zach composed our intro and Andrew does our photos. They just keep getting better, and pretty soon they're gonna be out of reach because these guys, Andrew photographs comedians. So if y'all follow Just Off the Six on like Instagram, he's constantly got like his photos are just stupid amazing as far as I'm concerned, and he does He does all that, so you can see all the really cool photos he does. And then Zach, if you follow Zach, he's got he teaches a lot of his composer stuff, and then he does like all this amazing. He's just amazing. It's great. Yeah, I know we got an echo, y'all. I'm so sorry. I have no idea how to fix that. This is not my forte, and audio is especially not my forte. So I hope it is not too horrendous on y'all's front. Maybe at some point we'll try to reload and such. But Donka, sorry about that. Yeah, any other stories you have? I know we have some more questions too. And I'm sure we will come back to more stories as more questions come up.
I mean, I will say, something I really enjoyed, which I don't know, maybe Meghan will release the footage of this, but I guess also sort of answer Jody's question about where the set is. So the set was like in an Airbnb in Burbank,
Glendale.
Yeah, in Glendale.
Sorry.
Meghan would just set a time. We'd meet. We'd have a call time. We'd go through it. Of course, Randy was already there because he was living. But one of my favorite parts is like Randy was saying, when I would do the one-on-one things, everyone else would get kicked out.
Yeah.
So when I did my one-on-one with our dear Hattie Marth here, we did all of Adam's stuff, and then we just paused, and I think you see the pause in the actual playback. There's a pause, and then I think I just turned to Adam and say, I don't know what Meghan's gonna do with this, if she's gonna cut it out or not. So that's a future Meghan problem, because Meghan didn't know about this whole thing. Here's the deal. Now I need you to play this thing. And I also gave Adam like almost no information. I was like, here's the deal. Like, you don't like light. Here's your mission. You need to get on the ship. And some stuff. And I gave him like some stuff that he might know. And I was like, you just need to convince Diana to let you on the ship.
That's easy.
There's probably like a 3-minute period where Adam is just, I mean, maybe Adam, you could talk to this, but he just like, okay. And he just sort of like processed. He asked me maybe a couple questions, and he was like, all right, I'm ready. And then,
Yeah, well, with that too, I mean, the one thing I had to process, because I remember as myself as Killian, I had turned on the exterior lights, so I knew that there was going to be light coming too. And I'm like, the goal is to get there, but it hurts really bad. Okay. And you're just like, you get to mess with Diana, and I know that was going to be perfect too. Yeah. She's so easy to mess with. I'm like, she's going to hate you. Like at the end of this, she's going to hate us both because we kept it from her. And it was great. That was another process too. It's just like, how mad is she going to be? Okay, yeah, I'm definitely ready. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I thought that was like a great little twist to throw on it as well too. Yeah, that was fun getting pulled into something like that. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is a lot of fun.
I had no idea. Like, I remember very vaguely that you were also called when she went, but also like I don't remember it. And I was like, that was like watching it back. I was like, oh no.
Well, and what Jody was saying, I did enjoy getting to play a big bad for a hot minute. That was fun. And I don't think I was expecting the naked part though. That whole thing was just so funny. That was just great. Like, he's naked? What? Yep. No, you got junk all over your scarf now.
I still have it. I never got my scarf back.
You didn't get your scarf back.
I
that
don't
was the
think
one
it's
that was
worth
blind
getting
and flailing. That was the one that was blind and flailing, and it still had the scarf. Yep, you never got it. That sucks. We have to go back, guys. All right, Megan, part 2 is return.
Get the
Gotta get Aster's scarf.
Yep.
Get the
Back to
scarf.
Spider Island, Chapter 4.
I definitely did debate that scene. I debated when I was editing about what I should do, if I should leave it in so that the audience knew what was coming, but I really felt like it was going to be more entertaining to get to discover it along with Diana. So that's what I chose.
So
yeah,
maybe,
but I did debate.
Maybe Patreon.
Right?
Like because I'd love to see it. I would want to see that.
I do intend to put out like outtakes at some point. So
yeah, maybe
Maybe
in the
there, who
outtakes. Yeah.
who knows? But yeah, awesome. Okay, let's see. I know we have some other questions. Let me hop back over here to find that next one. So Jody says, where was that? We answered that. It was in Glendale. Yeah, it was. I mean, just to answer how we coordinated, Randy lives up here in Seattle, where now I live as well. But at the time, Randy, both for Eden Redux and for Hell on Earth, flew out and stayed at the set, which was an Airbnb. That we did for Eden Redux, I did a theater, and that was great, but we were so limited on our time that it was really stressful and hectic. And so I wanted to have a little bit more time and space, and also for Randy to be able to have a place to stay and stuff like that. So yeah, that's how that all shook out.
Because I was gonna have to stay somewhere regardless. That was the big conversation I remember when Meghan was talking to me about it. And so having a place where I could be already, and then all the equipment could just stay there the entire time.
So it was carrying that equipment. There was so much to carry up the stairs. We didn't even use half the things I brought up the stairs. So I was like, why did I carry all these sandbags? So that was a whole thing. Yeah. I was going to say something else and I don't remember. Alas. The next question is, let's see. Stardew says, I feel like this is a mad scientist in town making zombies. Oh, this must have been something else that I don't remember what that was in reference to, but yeah, probably. And then I've got Clint here. What's each person's favorite scene from another player? That's a cool question. That's a tough question. Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
I'll jump right on that one because the one that always and it'll probably get talked about more as well too. My biggest shock was the mind wipe.
Yeah, I know.
That Kesh. Oh my god, that utterly blew my mind with it. It was just sitting next to Rossi and my heart is going, you're breaking my heart, Rossi. That was, I thought, but just that moment leading up to it, though, was just so beautiful and sweet between the two of you. It was so real. It's like it's one of those moments you're watching it and you're just being drawn into it more. And then the captain comes out. And so there's that little awkward break and we get back into it. And then that whole thing happens. And it was truly heartbreaking to see that, but at the same time, it brought up questions too. Like why, Rossi? Why would Kesh do that? Obviously, it was a touch thing as well too. And what would happen? And then my mind is racing, going, "Oh my God, what's going to happen if Aster finds out that he mind wiped her? Is she going to be really mad that maybe he's done it before? Has he done that to me before? Has he done that? Oh my God, what's going?" And it just ended up. I started getting all these crazy conspiracy theories about Kesh then as well too, of how many times he's done this to all of us. But I there were multiple moments, but that is always one that just. Boom! It always comes at me for this season.
Yeah,
and Jody was mad at you apparently, Kesh.
Oh,
yeah. She says, "Yes, I was so mad."
It's quite an intense move. Yeah, very. Keep the drama going there.
Yeah. Let me tell you, as Diana, I had to hold Diana in because I was just so mad at the moment and going, "No, stay in characters, Aster. Just." We're still rolling, we're still filming, and I didn't have a chance to have closure as Diana to walk over to Philip and be like, what the fuck? What happened? What? But I was like, well, it's a character's choice and it makes sense for his character, but I mean you can tell us later. But it was just I can tell you I was literally fighting with my own self for quite some time.
After we stopped filming, you were like, why would you do that?
Oh no, that was a really great, powerful moment.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed. I think everyone had really great moments, like the Hattie finding out about his past life.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah.
You stole mine.
No.
You can have your own favorite. You can have that moment too. No one's keeping. I really liked Ortiz like having to deal with everything in the library. I thought that was really fun.
That was mine.
But I think maybe my favorite moment was when I was one-on-one GMing Meghan, and I was just sort of like kept sort of like pushing at Jexa.
That's my favorite moment.
I didn't really have any way to do that except through Spectre, just making sounds, which I really enjoyed. But I was just like, I'll just sort of prod her and see what she does, because she's really spinning on her own here now. And I think we just got something really like heartfelt and like deep out of it that I had no idea that's where it was going to go. I thought she was just going to chat with her little, spectral radiation cloud for a little bit, and then we move on.
I was telling Megan, because Megan and I talk, but like how genuinely, it was so genuine talking to Spectre. Like it was so natural between you two. It wasn't even scripted. Just so you guys know out there, was not scripted. That was total improv, but it felt so natural, and like you can see, like, I know you're just going, but there was still emotion behind it. And like, Megan, I applaud you for knowing like what to say next, what you thought Spectre was saying. Like, it was just incredible to watch that. I really loved that.
Thank you. I did not always know what to say. There definitely was one point that I didn't see it, where I'm like, Spectre, use your inside voice. I don't know what you're saying. That was my brain going, oh no, in that one moment. But yeah.
See, but I feel like it was like right around then when you started to really dig down, because I was just like made a noise and you didn't know what to say. So you're like, I guess I'll interpret this as this like very in-depth question of me. And I was just like, make some sound,
Yeah, no, well, I also, and I think I told Philip this, but I really appreciated the opportunity, because that's one thing that I really enjoy for me about one thing that role-playing lends itself to, like these role-playing games lend themselves to, is this dramatic improv that I don't really see exist in the world outside of this. And I think that's really, really cool. And there's some really interesting value to that as a player, and hopefully as an audience, but definitely as a player for me. And it can be hard to find a table where it's comfortable enough to do that, and a GM. So, it's always nice to get those opportunities. So I appreciate the opportunity as well. And that story actually about how Maria proposed to Jexa, not being proposed to, but that did happen to me. I did go up with some friends, and the four-wheelers thing, it was a nightmare. It was ridiculous. It did happen. So it was fun to utilize it in that way.
I like that turn at the very end, though, during that moment. And you're like, and then here I'm talking about my dead wife and daughter. Can we please get out of here? And then it's just like, then that captain moment, like that all of us know too, like snapped into it.
Thank you.
Good ones, man.
I appreciate it. It was fun. I really, Jexa, I really enjoyed playing her. She surprised me. And so that was cool. I felt that way about this whole cast. Anyway.
That's what I was going to say. This I felt like this season we were way more connected as our players, like as our characters with each other and our relationships. Like even the small moments, like at one point, Randy's character, Miguel, comes over and wants to read me a bedtime story because he knows I have trouble sleeping. And I'm like, oh, come on, I don't want to hear this again. And it was just, but it was like such a brother-sister moment that I was like, but there was like a connection there. Like every single time I had these little moments, like me with him in the house and finding all these pictures, and like Diana's like, oh shit, this is Coven. But then it's like, no, this is his moment of discovering who he is, and then like our moment with Kesh and I, like, I just felt so connected to the season.
Yeah,
it was nice.
I loved the moment with Kesh and I'm gonna just keep mixing them up with Philip and Diana's characters. But what
your faces when I went to watch all of it, your faces were like.
I was. So here's what I was thinking during that entire thing. Right, I was like, oh my gosh, this makes total sense for Kesh. Yeah. If Miguel knew about this, he would make Kesh like go back and erase it. And so I was like, but I didn't, and that's what I was like. Oh, like this is so sad because like Kesh is kind of broken in a lot of ways. Like he's got a lot of power, but he also in a lot of ways is not able to take any kind of rejection at all.
Right.
At least that's what it felt like. And I was like, you gotta sometimes like fight for something, Kesh. And I wanted to say that. I remember just being like, oh, Philip is so good, but so annoying sometimes. not you, but like yeah.
I also like as me personally, another favorite moment of mine was this one of the last episodes of me just trying to save Jexa as like a last resort. Like we cannot lose this captain. And I was watching it today because I finished it today, and I'm like, wow, like that was good. That I felt bad for myself, but as Aster, watching her like just like so like mad that Jexa has fallen and she's got to save her.
Yeah, it that whole thing played out so cinematically. Like
Yes.
to have the captain go down
Yes.
in the final episode. I was
Who
just
saved
like,
all of us.
we couldn't have planned this. Yeah, like
Yeah.
that was it was
Well,
really interesting.
Segue into that, other moment would be Philip giving me that last final Benny for me to get those power points
Yeah,
to do
that's great.
heal. And I'm sitting there the whole time. I'm like, I could do it. If only I needed like one more power point. I'm like, there is nothing to. Philip goes, oh my God, let's try it. But it was, and I don't know. Well, and Jody mentioned something just in chat. She's kind of broken. Like everybody was very broken and had those moments with the Kesh when he goes back and is talking about what happened on the planet. Miguel, Randy, there was the one moment too that broke my heart when we were talking about giving up memories and we were talking about that birthday, dude. Oh my God! Like just listening to that again too, just shattered it. And then listening to especially the captain at the very end when. It's like, oh, she's happy and everything. And I felt very just, I'm like, I want her to be happy, but I need her back too. But that was just sad. Aster losing everything and feeling like she doesn't belong. It was just so sad. But it was like all of our despair and everything. We were kind of like one big ball of disparage happiness, you know?
Yeah, together our despair equals happiness.
Well, yeah.
Together.
That's what this season was for me. It's that this crew needed each other.
Yeah.
And like that was true through all of it. Like I think like even Hattie wouldn't have been there if Aster hadn't like saved them out in the waste, right? Like saying okay, sorry. Thank you. But yeah, like those kinds of relationships were all built throughout each character, and I felt like that's why that final moment with Jexa like going down was so impactful for me.
Yeah.
Was like we all needed Jexa to make it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked playing with that dichotomy too because I really do like it was really interesting because we like met and talked about these characters, but you never know how they're going to come together really, even though we did do an episode 0 and everything, but it's not the same. Then you get in person and you don't know what's going to happen. And then it's just like, it was like magic. It all just came together and it was really cool to see in the moment of doing it, but it was also really cool to see editing it and really cool to see the final product and see like how see it from so many different angles and sides and see how it came together and it was really cool. It's really cool. It's magical. It really is. Awesome. Okay, this clearly was a great question because we had so many things to say. So let's jump on to the next question. We actually don't have any more, but I've got some questions and I know they've got some questions, and if y'all have some other questions, we will keep a hold of those and then kind of answer them as we go. So let me see over here. I want to ask one question and then let's go through the cast and let everybody kind of ask something as well. So my first question, because I just think this is an interesting topic. What was the hardest aspect of making this chapter for you, for each of you? Was there one?
I think
go ahead.
I'll go first while everyone else is thinking. I think for me it was I knew it was the GMing side of things because I knew sort of the vibe I wanted to achieve with my part of the story. And I really wanted to explore that like survival aspect and sort of the thing, sort of, there's something out there, who done it. And I wasn't sure, you know, like in my notes, it's just sort of a giant blank space of like, I take these people and these are some things they could do, but it's sort of a leap of faith relying on all four of you to sort of like fill your individual time, you know. I think between that and the spiders, because I just made up the spiders. They're not pre-existing. And they probably would have been way worse. I had to run them by Jacey. They sort of talked out like what you know, edges and hindrances would sort of like fill out this sort of idea I had of them. But because they weren't pre-written, I had no idea what their power level would end up being. So I was like, this might kill the players or it might be totally fine, and I wasn't sure. And I'm not like above letting players die. I tell these guys that every time I have to sit in the GM seat. I'm like, if they die, they die. That's part of the story. So that stuff in the end with the captain, like she was really close to death, and I was like,
yep,
maybe I killed her. I don't know. I was like, I guess it'll be a good story if she does, but everyone's gonna be really mad at me. And like, maybe Meghan will like it, or maybe like, thanks for that.
Yeah, Jexa. Yeah.
So that final roll by Adam is really, that's real life.
Yeah, clutch.
Like I roll.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I will say, I guess, on my side of things, the hardest part, the hardest part about this chapter was like everything. I don't mean that every element was hard. And part of that is because I'm trying to do so many things by myself. And I'm doing that because I have a lot of anxiety about, you know, working with people and like making sure that everybody remains happy and all those things, because I have been in dynamics where it didn't go that way. And so it's difficult. So much of this, like I have tried to pay everyone as much as I can when I can. But you know, it's not a profitable thing, or at least not one I found. Some folks have, I have not. And that's okay. I don't necessarily need it to be, but that does affect what I'm able to do and who's able to help and things and how we're able to help. And so I have really had this mentality of like, okay, if I can teach myself to do this, then I can do as much as possible. And I have learned a lot, and that's fantastic. But I am not good at balancing out like how much I'm doing. And so I think for me, sort of like I was talking about that burnout, I was trying to do all the production aspect and then GM it and then play, which I know saying it all sounds like obviously, yes, that would be hard. But I feel like it took away from each individual thing that I did. And that's not to say that I don't think I did a good job. I still feel very happy. I'm super fucking happy with how this season turned out. I think it went great. But I know I could have done better. And you know, isn't that always the way it goes? I suppose it is. But I know I could have done better. And I can see every time I do one of these seasons, I can see where I could have had better support from myself. So like, for example, yes, I was trained to GM when I was already burned out, which was probably a mistake on my part, but I wanted to do it. And then also I was producing the whole thing. And, you know, for Eden Redux, I produced it, but I didn't GM the predominance of it. And that was a very different thing. And while I was happy with how things turned out, I can look back at it and go like, I wish I had had more opportunity to get down into this aspect of the performance with this NPC. Or I wish I had had the opportunity to have responded better, you know, to Diana in that situation, because I can see where I missed what she was saying, or what, you know, whatever the thing might have been. And of course, these are the, like, I suppose, natural critiques. But that's part of this for me. The part of this is like doing it imperfectly, and then going, oops, here are all the things that were hard. Okay, I'm not going to do those next time. How can I avoid that next time? So yeah, that's the answer that I have to that. Who else? What's the hardest part of all of it?
Honestly, for me, it was it coming to an end. I mean, we definitely talked about. Yeah, I mean, we've all been a part of this grand story together. This is our third season with it now, and going into this one definitely felt easier. I think, especially on my end. I'm sure Randy and Diana, you're nodding your heads too. Is we know you guys. Especially Megan, you taking the bigger portion of the story, Rossi, when you would take over, you guys are going to take care of the story. You're going to take care of us as well too, and just the relationship that we have all built like within the story and everything too. I mean, that was the hardest part. Was honestly it ending, coming to an end, and then like after tonight, it's like chapter 3 is like officially closed, But it's I mean, it's
that.
I know. We'll keep it going. But yeah, I mean, it was everything felt great. Everything truly felt great for this season.
That's awesome. I'm really glad it did. That's my goal. I am very much a person who feels like the entertainment industry as a whole, whenever you're working in these kind of spaces, it can be really, it's not even intentional most of the time, which honestly isn't better. But it can be really, what is the word I'm looking for? It takes advantage of especially performers, but of everyone. It just does. It's the nature of it. It's the way the money runs. And that really pisses me off. And I don't think it has to be that way. Because honestly, the biggest asset that you always have for anything you're ever doing is the people who are involved. And I don't understand why people don't get that. And so that's really important to me. And it is important to me that every time we do this, that it is a positive experience. And if it isn't, there's an opportunity to talk about that and address that. So I'm glad to hear, Adam, that you had a good experience this go. I know Adam had a horrible experience for it. No, but yeah.
I have something to answer the question. Not it's bad. Because this season, I agree 100% with Adam, was probably the easiest for me to as a character to get into. And I think part of that is tied to what I'm about to say. So for me, the hardest aspect of this season for me was getting all of the lore of Deadlands, like Hell on Earth, because I had just gone through 2 seasons where it was like, here's this lore that we're making up as we go kind of thing. Whereas like Deadlands was like, these are established names. Like this is a person and this is a company and this is this rock that is used as this thing. And it was like, okay, I have to try to remember all of this as my character. And it didn't end up being too bad once I got to the actual game, but I know I put a lot of pressure on myself before when I was making the character, but trying to be like, oh, I need to understand everything about bookworms, and I need to know who, like, what about their like leadership structure? Who am I sending these books to? Like all of that stuff was in my head, and I had no idea what to do with it. But so that was kind of the hard part about it. But what made it easy as a player was getting to that table and being like, my character knows the world is shit. Like that's a completely different place from like the past 2 characters that we played. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So in that kind of regard, it was also kind of freeing in a way.
Interesting. Yeah. I really I really threw a challenge at them for being like, yo, you don't know what world you're in. You don't know what world you're in. Okay, now you're in Deadlands. Here you go. Yeah, and it is a shift, even though y'all didn't know that there were elements that were Deadlands that we were playing with, like the witches and all that stuff is Deadlands, but you didn't know that. So it is an entirely different dynamic when you know, because before I'm just like, I'm not giving them the book. I'm going, here's the information you have in a sheet that I made. Until this, well, even in this season, I still feel like I was like, here's your information. You can't look at the book.
But there was some book stuff we got. Like I got like maybe a couple of pages about bookworms. It was like, these are the powers and these are like how they use bibliopathy. Like it was like an explanation there, but I was like, okay, I had so many questions. That's sort of where I'm going, I guess. I left like reading it being like, okay, this is awesome. I want to do this. I have XYZ questions, but I feel like I can't ask them. And that was just because like part of the fun of Harbingers for me is also like figuring it out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Hopefully that continues.
No. It was great. It was great.
That's awesome. Yeah. Anyone else have anything that you didn't get to touch on that? What the hardest aspect of this chapter was for you? And there doesn't have to be one. It's just something to inspire thoughts. Awesome. Yeah. I will say at the end of that though, because my other question I have is like, what was your most favorite part of this? But I want to hear from everybody else before we answer that. But I do want to say that like, I really feel just on the side of making it and how I feel about what we created and put forth this season is that it gets better every time. And like I honestly, Jacey and I both would sit here and I'd be like, come look at the scene that I'm editing or whatever. And she was just like, this is really cool because it's been really cool to watch this group just coalesce and come together more and more. And, you know, I've done this before. Wildcards had a really like, for anyone who doesn't know, I did a Savage Worlds stream for years with Saving Throw. That was Wildcards was the name of it. And we had a really like great dynamic as well, but it was entirely different. And so it's really cool to be able to have seen, and I know like some of y'all have also had casts like this where you've been a part of something for a time and have this dynamic. It's really cool to see these different dynamics and see them grow and change over time and the similarities and the differences and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah. But I just want to get across, even talking about the hardest things, I still really feel like, I don't know, I'm impressed. I'm impressed by this cast. They continue to impress me every time, which is amazing. And I'm impressed with what we come out with. I'm impressed that I'm able to do it. I honestly, it's impressive. So anyway, side note. Yeah. Who else has a question that you're dying to ask here in the cast?
Let's see.
Well, okay, right back up to me. Hot seat. Okay, let's go.
There you go.
So I don't know if anybody here has ever watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer. There was a great episode in season 6 where there was a musical episode, and in the final song, the first line that comes out is "Where do we go from here?" So Megan, I throw that to you. Where do we go from here, Megan? What's going on? This is insane.
Well,
I know she's not.
I'm not going to tell you, but that is a question I was going to ask y'all, is what y'all think is going on now with the information that you have. I know, Philip, probably this is a hard question for you because you've like got a little GM and a little not GM, but still, I'm interested in what, because I don't know that you have a lot of information, really.
I don't.
Yeah.
I am fed enough information to get through every chapter.
Pretty much.
You're asking me where I think it's going?
Yeah, all of y'all. I mean, I feel like that's kind of sort of what Adam's asking, except Adam wants me to answer, but I'm throwing it back.
It's a good technique.
I've got something.
Okay.
It is not gonna be good for all of our heroes meeting each other. So we just had our ship of the Perfection like chasing after Bertram, who we don't know is Bertram, but like right. And so that's a thing which comes completely in conflict with like Group 1, right? And all of these people are sitting on this beach, like looking at this giant sea monster, and a ship just crashed into the water. And those people are about to come out and be like, what the heck is going on here, right?
Not to mention all the automatons.
I forgot about
that. No, Megan, they're dead. Those are gone. Those are gone. What are you talking about? They got destroyed.
Episode 1's about to be rough. That's all I know. I'm excited for them to mix together because, I mean, obviously we can't play all 3 at the same time, or can we? I don't know. But what I'm excited about is seeing those dynamics. Like, I'm excited to see Kesh in like meeting, like Piper for the first time. Like, that's gonna be weird.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't even know what to expect.
I feel like Ortiz and Ocelot are going to be like the Bash Brothers. Like I just see the two of them like, what? Yeah. Ah! Like they're just going to be powerhouses, and then right behind them is just going to be Cat like, I'm coming too.
Yeah, she has to wake up first though.
Oh, yeah.
I am looking forward to the reunion of the brothers. Of my brothers and stuff, yeah, like how that's gonna go down, because it's been 14 years, and I find it interesting too. I mean, something I didn't realize, but just kind of going on a different note, is all of my characters have had a type of deformity, like missing an eye, a hand that transforms, and missing an arm, like as well too. But just seeing how.
Did you do that on purpose?
Yep.
I will say my partner watched all the seasons and was like, I wonder if Adam likes playing characters that like have something to overcome.
Well, I mean, that was definitely hard for all of them for sure. But I'm excited, just to see how this melting pot of a dozen different characters and how they're all going to look at this world that they're all in now, this giant beast, and what are we all going to do? And it'll be cool to see what relationships do spark from that, like as well, because I mean, like the most random ones could totally happen as well too, which is really exciting to see where that goes.
Definitely.
My question's about, like, I don't know how we're gonna do that, but my in-game question is, who the hell is the collector?
Yes! Yes! And, like, are all of our seasons going to, like, rally up and kill the collector? Like, or, like, you know what I mean? Capture him and figure out what's going on? Yeah, who is the collector?
Ultimate question: who is the collector?
Like, part of me feels like we're in Hunger Games and we're all living in this dome, and the collector's sitting on top of the dome and, like, picking, hey, we're going to take Jexa and put her here. You know, like, it's like chess. I don't know.
It's weird.
Interesting.
Yeah, it is weird to me. Megan's like, I know.
I mean, yeah.
Goodness.
No, table cat games, I refuse. You'll have to figure it out yourself. Yeah, mad collector scientist. Yeah. Any other thoughts on what the hell is going on in the world of Harbinger's Land?
No, because then you have the people playing Eden Redux that we, like, met up with, and I was like, Diana was like,
for a loop.
me too.
I thought I understood what it was, and now I'm like,
I feel like everything we know about the collector just raises more questions. Like, literally, we know he shows up, he's got an interdimensional room that a door opens up into, and then I think the biggest clue is his name.
right.
Mm.
So he collects stuff. Why does he collect stuff?
Well,
What he
season one
collects and
people
what he's
were
doing with
clones
it.
or something, right? Like they were
Yeah.
descendants of who have the witch. Like that's how they're witches, right? Like,
Yeah.
So there's that whole mystery thing. Like, so many questions.
I think Clint is right. The collector is like a harrowed Elon Musk, and none of his actions. that explains everything, really.
Well, and then you bring Mina Devlin into it as well too. Like Mina was back for this season 2, and it's like, why is she here?
Part of me thinks Mina Devlin is actually the collector.
I don't think that. See, because here's why I don't.
They're in opposition.
Yeah, I think they're enemies. Yeah. She's
going against him.
Yeah, because like that's why he wants to collect her.
Okay, that's interesting.
I could be wrong.
Well, but I agree on that note though, Randy, because she mentioned a couple times, like she has said to both of those groups so far, you're being used.
Oh, maybe she was an escapee of like his little collection, and she's saving the world. Even
I don't think she's
the hero.
She might be the anti-hero, but like
Mina is a Deadlands character.
See, and this is why I was like, I can't dig too, because the thing that the audience, I want to make sure you guys all know, is that we still don't get all the information. It's not like we were able to go back and look at all the Deadlands stuff. We're not, right?
No, they don't have any info.
Yeah.
So like we get very specific pieces of information, which this season by far was the most backstory that we got beforehand.
Yeah.
I gave them a lot. Let me tell you what I did. I went through and I copy and pasted the things that I wanted, and then I cut out the things I was like, no, you don't get this information. And then I gave them that.
like a redacted version of the campaign setting, basically.
Yes, that is exactly what I did. Yes. I mean, Philip has access to a little bit more, on the GMing side of things, but it's still kind of like Philip
does not bring clarity. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't think it helps a whole lot. So, but yeah, awesome. I think it's super interesting to hear how y'all interpret this, because it's one thing to have the information that I have and then put it forth and then hope that, people can put those things together and understand, hopefully that y'all can put these things together and they make sense, like I don't always know if I'm going to make sense. So it's, it's a challenge of its own, but it's always really cool to see how it's reflected back to me. So yeah, cool. What else? Do y'all have any other questions you want to get to? I have more too. So, and I think we have some in chat, right? Let me see.
Yeah, I think there's another couple that came in.
We had
Eden redacted.
Jacey said, "What was everybody's favorite thing their character could do? Like a power, I assume, or like a thing you could do."
I think messing with people's minds was that's the whole reason why I wanted to play with the Syker. Like, you can read people's minds. You can, that whole aspect was cool. Wipe people's minds.
Oh my.
One day you'll.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Shit.
Hold on, we just lost.
Oh,
You're fine. I'm good.
So the
okay.
question is, what was the favorite thing our characters could do, or
Yeah, your character.
Yeah,
could do.
and we enjoyed it.
Doesn't have to be a power. It could be a way you move through the world. Okay, is what JC said.
Okay. I very purposefully made a character that was not using weapons. And the reason for that is I like the idea of a punchy guy who uses magic, just because I've never seen that before. And so like being a bookworm, I got to infuse what types of books were causing those spells, and so that was really impactful to me, and having that be a part of how he played. So for me, that was the coolest part about being a bookworm, was the fact that I didn't shoot laser beams. I was just smite punchy. I know it's not the strongest person, but having those martial artist and martial warrior edges were really cool to me for some reason. Yeah.
That's cool. I'll say for Jexa, I don't feel like, again, where I was at the time, I was I didn't feel like I grokked everything when I sat down to play her on the mechanic side that I had built in, and I didn't get to dig as deep into it as I wanted to. So, but one thing that I really liked about her was the fact that she could drink Shriek to gain essentially power points, even though she would take a fatigue for that, and then eventually, she's taking major negatives if she keeps doing that, but it gives her power points. And I just really liked the idea of Jexa being I'm gonna hurt myself to help people. It feels, with her death wish and everything, felt very appropriate. So I enjoyed that darkness that Toxic Shaman gave me.
I just liked my character knowing how to survive in this world, having the radiation, being able to be in radiation, and being a survivalist. And I think that was very helpful for the group, and just I enjoyed that aspect, being being that type of person.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you. Yeah.
I did, and back on the beginners too. I enjoyed trying to figure the world out, having one arm, with things, especially with the type of person that Killian is. He's an engineer. He's trying to help take care of the ship, and the dude's got one arm to do it. But trying to overcome that sort of stuff, and I like that we had. I think, Megan, this was kind of something that you had kind of thrown at me too, was the fact of being able to utilize at least potentially like being able to entangle, like using that ability, and then something kind of cool can come out of that, like as well too. So I thought that was something really cool. It wasn't something that came up a lot, but when it did, it always felt like he almost felt like he was completely whole again, which was super cool.
Yeah. I feel that's one thing that I really like about the fact that there are a sort of a finite amount of powers that you can utilize, but that you can color those and shape those in whatever way works for your character. And I think that is so cool, because yet again, for me, that is an example of how sort of creating a limit or creating a box really allows for greater creativity.
Yes.
And I think that was an instance of that, and I really think that's cool. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you do cool things. I mean, all y'all, that's another thing I wanted to say on the favorite stuff earlier, is all the cool stuff that y'all with powers, how you describe them and like how you utilize them and things like that. I think that's really cool. Yeah. Oh, and also one thing that I forgot to say, I wanted to say, I also really liked doing the ComSat thing with the Diane.
I guess it's a good thing I knew about the Teletubbies, because I knew all of them because my brother would watch Teletubbies. And so when
I'm glad you did, because I know zero about the Teletubbies. I was like, Megan, why did you make this? It's because somebody brought it up earlier.
Wait, what made you choose Teletubbies?
Somebody had mentioned Teletubbies. I think it was Randy. I don't remember who it was. Somebody mentioned Teletubbies earlier in the day. In some other part of the episode. And so my brain was just like, here's what you have, Teletubbies. And I was like, Megan, why Teletubbies? But then you were like, yeah, I know Teletubbies. And I was like, okay, here we go.
I went with it. That moment was a lot of fun watching, and just like for me, for Aster, this was like her one friend that she knew before she met all of you, kind of like her one like sense of like hope. So it was, that was funny. That was a fun moment.
Yeah, I had fun with that. Anyway,
sorry,
I derailed it.
No,
it's fine. I feel like there's going to be a lot of other just fun moments that we're all just going to think of. This is a lot.
Yeah.
That just pop up. Okay, awesome. Anyone else? I'll hop back and jump in with a question real quick. I'm gonna go back to my point. Let's see. We kind of already talked about that. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about this one. What has been your favorite Harbingers character to play? Do you have one?
Oh, that's tough, man.
Wow. That's a mean question.
Yeah. Aspects that we love.
It's like asking a parent who their favorite child is.
Okay. I will answer this question first then, and I will say that Jexa has by far been my favorite character. And some of that I think is because Piper was my first attempt. I love all of my characters. I think they're all great, but I didn't feel like I got to get down quite into Piper and Kat as much as I actually did with Jexa. And I think some of that is just, I honestly don't know. I think it was just where I was at the time. But because of that, Jexa surprised me. I created an entirely different, she's not entirely different, but she's different in a lot of ways from any other character I've ever created. And I really fell in love with aspects of her that I didn't expect to. And that was really unique and cool. And Piper and Kat were different in some ways too, but I don't know. I feel like I still have more to learn about them, I suppose. But yeah.
I guess if I had to choose, I would choose Kesh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why Kesh over CU3 and Bookworm?
I liked playing Bertram. I really liked the sort of carrying that secret through the whole season. But I think I think Bertram is can be kind of a dick. Yeah, I feel like like it, and I enjoy like that can be fun, but I really like playing characters that like work well with other people. The I think CU9 has the potential to do that. CU9 is like built entirely to help everyone else. CU3, you're right.
You don't even know your own character name now. I'm kidding.
Could be 9. CU3 is built to help everyone else, but like doesn't know everybody else like Kesh does, and I feel like in that way Kesh is more enjoyable, I guess. Kesh was also built specifically to make Meghan happy.
Oh yeah.
Wait. We got to dig into that. You can't just say that. How
Meghan was like in the end of last season. We had our talk back, and then we have like sort of like a post-mortem, like, hey, for next season I want to do this. And Meghan was like, Philip, you're always building characters that are antagonizing other people.
I mean, he still kind of did, but in a different way.
Like especially Diana. You gotta like. I want to see you like well with others.
I'm just gonna wipe her memory.
We were gonna be like,
sweet and fucking roll.
And I was like, you got it, Meghan. Not only will my character play nice with others, my character will love Diana's character. Capital L.
and then
Well, what it was the whole thing watching Kesh like Diana's character and being like, yo, I want to tell her, but I'm so nervous, ooh. And then like even Killian was like, yo, you should just like it's not that kind of relationship between us. You should go and like talk to her. And Kesh was still like, nah, I'm good. And then when he did, she was like, hey, I don't have those feelings for you. At least not in that way at that moment, right?
Right.
And maybe there's a world where Kesh didn't mind wipe her and that relationship could have grown, right? But Kesh couldn't get there, right?
and that's what I wanted it to be.
Maybe there's that world, but it ain't this one, brother.
I think that's what made it so sad, though, right? Like, because I think watching Diana's character's reaction to that scene was like, oh, she doesn't feel that right now, but like I didn't get the feeling that she couldn't have gone there, right? And I think that's what Diana as a player wanted. So like, it was sad. It made it even more heartbreaking, and so it was good storytelling. So great job.
It was. Yeah. Any other thoughts on your favorite character to play?
This is mean. I mean, like, and the reason I say that is because like all 3 of the characters I think have like very specific aspects. I mean, like any actor, right? Like there are huge pieces of you in them, but for me, like if I were to pick which character felt the easiest to put on, it would probably be for me Ghost. And I say that because Ghost was Ghost is the kind of person I want to be, I think, in real life, like able to, like very capable, like able to do a lot of things. And so like I think at the end of season 2, when Ghost can't do everything and he's like, oh, I actually am not as good at all these things, I was like, oh, this feels so real. I don't like this. And so like for me, that character is really compelling because I'm really excited to see like where that goes. But with that said, like there are pieces of Miguel that I absolutely loved playing. And same thing for Leander. Like the end, getting to tell that story that I had like thought up for Leander's like backstory, and having that final moment with his friend in season 1. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. But that moment was really, really powerful for me as a storyteller. So like hard, but I guess if I had to pick, maybe season 2.
Cool. That's cool. What about
Diana?
Yeah.
I'm the same boat with Randy. Like, so for Coven, I loved playing like this very childish, curious know-it-all almost. I enjoyed that aspect of Rowan. And then we go to Edge, and Edge is like the ultimate badass, like what Diana wants to be in life all the time. Be this coolest parkourist ever. But I connected more with Aster. And I think also it had to do with us all connecting with each other and the relationships. Like, I really enjoyed playing this character because I had a relationship with Adam's character. I had a relationship with Randy's character, like everyone. And I just really enjoyed those moments a lot more. I felt more comfortable exploring those moments more. I don't know why. I don't know. I mean, to be also fair, when we filmed last season, it was so cold in that theater. Like, it was hard to act and then go. And I'm like, it's so cold, it's so cold, and my nose is running, and I'm like, okay, you gotta be character. So it was freezing in there.
I forgot about that. It definitely was more comfortable in that we had more control over the space in the Airbnb. Yeah.
But I liked Aster. Adam? Meghan?
Yeah, still tough question. I mean, kind of with the three of them, Heyde brought a lot of innocence, which was really intriguing to play. Like, Killian was very utilitarian. That's something I always kind of found with a lot of characters in other games that I play. Somebody who's very utility that can be useful everywhere. And then Ocelot, honestly, I felt like it was truly more me than the other characters as well, too.
Very unassuming.
Very unassuming. Adam Kahn is a very unassuming kind of guy. But, but like really picking probably the biggest one for me, and it's just a little squeeze just because I feel like he's more like me as Ocelot. Just because of the goofy, fun nature. But then it's like when that moment does happen, when Adam needs to be serious, Adam can be incredibly serious at that time. Yeah. And but still, that question is hard because I want to say Heyde and I want to say Killian as well too. But I think at the same time, I think with Ocelot, because he's a little bit more removed from them, because for me personally, I feel like they're kind of like almost the same kind of entity with Killian and Heyde. In that same sense, like they're not the same person, but at the same time, I mean, obviously they're twins, they're brothers, and this was just and Ocelot was somebody just completely outside of all of that.
I just have one quick question because I kind of know the answer, but I want to make sure our audience knows. Can you tell us when you came up with the idea to play the twin of your former character?
So that was actually that's one thing that I think about with this one all the time. That was brought up when we were thinking about characters. I had originally, and I told everybody this, and I think I even said it in the chat back. Character's name was going to be Scuzz Twittly. And then Rossi used Scuzz in Eden Redux, and I loved it. You stole my name, this, that, and the other thing. And I was just, and it was just this persona. Like, Scuzz was actually going to be more of this, like, kind of out there, weirder guy. Not as, like, he was going to be, like, even a higher level than Ocelot, too. And then Meghan, it was actually kind of Meghan that kind of texted. She goes, what do you think about the idea of you actually playing your brother? And I immediately went back to our chat back from Harbingers and I said, Meghan, what did you do to my brother? Where's my brother at? What happened? And so that was just like this really cool idea for that as well too. And from there, I'm like, the idea of Scuzz stayed, but the whole persona of him completely changed then. And I thought that was just awesome. And that was one thing I was super excited about, to like really play into that. And it really kind of forced me to be like, okay, I have Heyde, and now I have this brother as well too. I don't want them to be the same. And I went from Heyde, who was one of the biggest cowards in the world, to Ocelot, who didn't give a shit. He's going to walk onto an elevator with 4 dudes. And I wanted to find like kind of like that in between with it as well too. But yeah, it was kind of like Meghan that did it, and then it just sparked it. And I'm like, oh man, this is great. This is going to be really freaking awesome. And her giving that idea and that opportunity to like dive into that as well too was so much fun.
That's awesome. I'm glad. I had that idea after Coven ended. And I was like, I actually talked to Philip about it at one point because I was like, I want to bring it up to Adam. I think it would be cool if he played Heyde's brother. brother in either Eden Redux or Hell on Earth. And I don't remember, I think at some point, like, it just kind of, you already had a character plan out for Eden Redux, and I was like, okay. But I'm gonna break this up at some point because I just thought that would be a lot of fun. I mean, you created that, brother. You know, you decided with Hattie that Hattie had the twin, and I was like, ooh, how can I play with this?
That was cool. I love that. I'm excited for the reunion.
Yes. Awesome. Okay. Did everyone get a chance to answer that question? Yes. Okay.
Yes.
We have, I believe, another. Yes. Robert James asks, "What is your favorite rule in Savage Worlds?" And then the corresponding question, "What is your least favorite rule?" And I will answer this while y'all think on my part, at least with regard to my favorite rule or aspect, I guess, are hindrances. I just love the hindrances. I think they're really cool. I like they like, honestly, when I play any other game system, I have a tendency to build my character in Savage Worlds still so that I understand the character better. It is way easier for me to understand things through the context of Savage Worlds, and also honestly, Savage.us really helped me with that as well, because it like formed it out for me to build the character, and that helps my brain. And so yeah, I do that now, and the hindrances are one of the really major parts of that for me. Least favorite rule, that's a hard, I don't know that I don't know how to answer least favorite rule. I can't think of something specific, but what I will say, I guess, is my least favorite aspect of what I experience in the TTRPG community sometimes. And I think this is just a preference. This is really not intended as a critique of anyone, but I get why this is, but the rules are so like the law for a lot of people. And for people like me, and I understand this better now, I think some of this is my autism, and I am so far from alone in this. But it is really, really hard for me to grok rules sometimes. And also sometimes it feels like a gatekeeping aspect of it for me. So whenever, I think what I dislike more than any one particular rule, and this isn't really a Savage Worlds thing, it's just a game thing, is that sort of sensation of feeling like somehow I can't play, or I'm less than, because I can't keep up with that. And I understand that for me in the past, that was interpreted on my part, I think for other people, that I didn't want to learn the rules, or that I didn't care to take the time. And so I get that too. I get that sort of mentality of like, well, but the rules are important to me. Like, and I don't want to like put words or things in your head or mouth, Rossi, but I feel like for you really like the rules and the mechanics and playing within that, and I think there's value to both of those things. So yeah, that's kind of, I think what I really enjoy better is a flexibility in the gameplay itself, and getting to play the game with the people you are with, and making that fun and something that everybody feels good about. And that is one thing that I feel like Savage Worlds and the folks who make it have always been very vocal about, and so I like that. That's another thing I like. So I don't know if that entirely answers your question, but that's kind of what pops into my head with the things that you're saying. So yeah, anyone else have any thoughts?
Yeah, go first, Randy. You go first.
You sure?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'll make this quick because the thing that popped in my head as my least favorite, which I wouldn't quite say it like that, I'd say what is the hardest for me to keep track of every time I play with a new character, is like specifically parry, toughness, and like armor.
Yes.
Like that interplay can, like, for some reason in my brain, and this was hard specifically in Eden Redux that I remember, because we also had like certain types of armor as well, and my brain just didn't get like, maybe because I came from other systems originally where like it was just kind of like one thing and you either hit or don't. And this was like, you hit this kind of thing if it's a physical, like a melee attack, and you hit this thing if it's a ranged attack. And my brain was just like, that's a lot of differences. And I have ADHD, and maybe that's part of it. I don't know. But like, that was the hard thing for me. And not that I don't get it. I understand why it's differentiated, and I don't think it's bad. But it was harder for me. I love a lot about Savage Worlds. Like anytime someone's like, what's your favorite system? I always say Savage Worlds. But I think that the most simplistic thing that I love is that you could be a character that is horrible at something with a D and have just a D4 and smash numbers like 54 or something sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that just feels really cool. Like it got to the point where I was like, okay, I have my character with like a +8 and I can get them up to a +12 with this like enhance ability, but maybe I don't want to do that. Maybe the D8 will get me there better. Right.
Yeah. Yep.
So
yeah.
I just love that they can explode.
Yeah. I totally feel it. I think that's really interesting that y'all all responded to the toughness and parry and all that stuff. And that makes total sense because every one of you have come from a D20 system first, like Pathfinder or Dungeons and Dragons. And that is a really tough transition at first. I had a really hard time with that when I first transitioned and I was pissed. I was like, I don't like this. This is hard. I don't know. I was confused. But yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting.
I still have a tough time with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I remember telling Adam, like when we were at Gen Con, I'm like, can you please figure this out for me when we're on camera? Because I have no idea still how to do it. And I think Rossi did it a couple times for me and even Redux, because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Basically, it's always hitting your parry first. It has to get through your parry and then it has to get through your toughness. So if you think of it as gateways, it's like parry is your first gateway, toughness is your second. The difference in shooting is just that it's hitting a static number, which can be, I totally see how it's confusing. And I really think for me, I grok all of this stuff because I played it for so long every week on wild cards.
Right.
And Jacey is, like I said, a really great rules person. I've grown to learn a lot of things, but under her GMing and her like rules knowledge, I was able to learn that. And that makes total sense. That makes total sense. That y'all would struggle with that. I also, my greatest weakness really, I think as a GM is combat. I'm just not, and again, that comes back to the rules because I get in my head and I'm like, am I keeping everything straight? What did you say? Like I get stressed because I don't trust myself fully.
Yeah.
That's like that part of it, right? So I imagine whenever I start doing that probably feeds back into y'all as well, which doesn't help. So totally makes sense. Sweet. What else? Anyone else have any thoughts on your favorite, least favorite?
I also love like what you said, your hindrances, because there's a lot of people who hate failing, right? Yeah. Lately, I enjoy, like, I will take it. I will take the risks. I want to see what happens. So I like when, like, we crit fail, or if I don't do as good, because I just like, okay, what happens? Because this is exciting, and also it's going to suck for my character, but here we go. I'm, like, full on in it. I've been enjoying that a lot lately.
I think I won the crit fail contest.
Yeah, you did. Oh, yeah, Jody did. Jody did enjoy all the crit fails.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was the first system, right?
There's so many.
End number. Do you have that written somewhere, Adam?
You know what, Rossi, you talk for a second. I'm gonna go find it.
Yeah. I will talk for a second. Exploding dice, obviously great. My negative thing is probably something I just struggle with. Is like when you are doing something to someone, it's countered by their attribute, not their skill. And that's always really difficult for me to remember. Like which skill attaches to which attribute. Like if I'm making like forcing an intimidation, they need to like I think roll a spirit to counter it instead of like some and if you come from a skill system, it's like a skill contest, it's always the same skill or something like that. And I think it's just that's a little bit of like patting my head and rubbing my tummy that I always have to do. Okay, which skill spirits counters this? But I think I love exploding dice, but I was sitting here thinking, and I think my favorite rule is actually the wound rule. I think that is like
is really cool.
Like that is the best. Like especially if you come like I come from a D&D background, and like you're a fighter with 100 hit points, and you get hit. You've been slapped around for like an hour of combat. You've got 1 hit point left, and you were exactly as dangerous as you were when you're at full health.
Yeah,
And
that's
like,
true.
for me, that verisimilitude breaks down, and you're like your arm's hanging off, and you're still like shit out of this dragon. Like I don't. Like in this, I love that. I love that no matter how powerful you are, like the most powerful you can be, you still got 3 wounds. Most people only have 1. Like if you're a wild card, you've got 3. That means like if you can just land a hit and do something, it matters, you know. And once you do, it has an actual negative impact on the like capabilities of that thing. And I love that. I love when I like get shot or stabbed or something. Like like that makes my stomach go like. And like
Makes it
that's
real.
what, yeah, that makes it real, and that's what I love about Savage Worlds. Every time I have to go back and play D&D, I'm like, how do I
Savage.
Yeah.
do this? Anybody feels anything that happens, you know? And I
Right.
can't.
I feel you. It ruined it for me.
Can I say one thing that I want to always commend both Meghan and Rossi for doing as GMs is using the hindrances in the story, like bringing those up in several parts. I know, like Meghan, you tend to do it like more like, hey, let's make this kind of roll, let's do this thing like throughout the story overall. I've seen also Rossi, you do it in a different way where like I've seen you sometimes like purposely, like if a hindrance hasn't been coming up, you'll craft an entire scenario to be like, we're going to dig into that thing. And
He did that with me at the gas station.
yeah, exactly.
That was the gas
Like
station,
with
Yeah.
the guy who like
It was
hated
for you,
my type.
because
Yeah.
we hadn't seen that hindrance, and I
Yeah.
think it's very different because like I think both ways make total sense, and they make the characters feel more alive, right?
Yeah.
Because Meghan, what you do really well is like throughout the entire play, you'll be like, hey, you just gone to sleep, make sure to roll that heavy sleeper or that nightmare roll, right? Like you keep those things in mind the entire time. Whereas like sometimes like I'll forget that I have something, and I know if I'm not careful, Rossi will like surprise me and be like, oh, remember that thing that you had on your sheet? I'm gonna surprise you with this evil guy who's going to, like, you know what I mean? Like that's both of them make the character matter, like every piece of that character matter. And I just want to say thank you to both of you, because without that we wouldn't get to tell those amazing stories.
Oh, well, thank you for playing in this world and like diving in.
So how about these crit fails?
So our crit fail totals, actually Diana and I both tied. My last one that I got in the last episode, we tied at 4.
Okay.
Rossi had 2, and Meghan and Randy did not have 1.
What?
Wow.
Yeah, you guys didn't crit fail at all.
Dang. I felt those quick fails.
I guess we had them all in the beginning.
Yeah, well, like Jody said, there was like 7 of them in the beginning.
Well, I also like had in the very beginning, I didn't roll, like I want to say last season I got 0 jokers too. Like I was like, I got none. And I remember feeling that. This time I was like, I feel kind of like in the middle most of the time. Like there was, I think on Rossi's like one-on-one thing, I had a lot of really good like back-to-back rolls. And I remember that being like, I feel crazy that I'm doing well here. But yeah, no, I was sorry watching all the crit fails though, because they were rough.
Well, but I mean, granted, we got more crit fails, but dude, like you, and when it came to combat, hardly ever getting below, like above a 6.
Yeah,
the majority of the time, I'm just like, dang,
I didn't get crit rolls, but
all the time, it's just like, here comes Miguel, you're number 2.
Yeah, my initiative. I'm if I know season 4 is not new characters, at least so far that we know. Maybe who knows? But the one thing, if I make a new character, I'm absolutely taking quick. Like I
Quick is
want
cool.
higher than 6. Like once.
Yeah.
It is nice. Yep. That makes
I would. I mean, I don't have much to say about the rules. I hate the scare table. Just because I still have just thoughts about Coven and everything, and how that just kept affecting us. The one that I think I loved the most this season though was when Miguel, when you got scared and the white like came through your hair and everything. I thought that was really cool. That happened with that one, which was a lot of fun. And then Rossi and you guys, like I'm kind of like I love the way that the wounds work. Absolutely, like it definitely feels it like means something. Like either if you put Hattie next to Miguel and Hattie gets hit, he's gonna feel it. Miguel gets hit really bad, he's gonna feel it. Like two completely different people on the opposite spectrum, especially when it comes to combat. But then also hindrances, and Clint said it great in the chat too. Like I agree with him. Like hindrances and that sort of stuff tend to like make for better heroes as well too. And then Diana played on it like failing forward, which is great. You know, there's so many people. It's like, oh, oh, look at that. Oh, look, I did it again. I did it. Oh, I'm good at it like all the time. And that doesn't make for intriguing storytelling. It's just like, cool. Well, why even do it? If it's just going to be successful the entire time, why even do it? It's just you're never going to hit a wall. You're never going to trip. Never going to drop anything. Nothing. But like when we add hindrances and everything else, it just adds another layer that you have to just try to get through. And it does. It makes it more fun when those hindrances even make it harder for you. Like when we were climbing up to the library, and everybody's like, "Cool, there we go." And I'm left with one arm, and I have to climb up by myself.
I didn't think about it until after we were like starting to climb the wall. I was like, "Oh."
There's a part of me that purposely didn't say anything. I'm like, "How's everybody going to treat?" Okay, all right, bye. Bye, Kesh. Bye, Miguel. Aster, you too. Okay, bye.
I think it would have been different if we physically saw you without an arm.
I did. I sat there and I showed Diana. What more visual do you need?
I don't know.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes, Jody, the fear table. I don't like the fear table. Too many bad memories of that.
Oh my.
I like the fear table, but it hits real. For me.
Yeah, it swings hard.
Yeah.
It does. Yes, it does not pull punches. That that's for sure. What anyone else have any questions that you wanted to ask while we were here? I just want to make sure you get a chance to ask your questions.
Well, just really quick to go back on that when it talked about the fear table, I also loved Rossi because you ended up getting a phobia.
Yeah.
And it was essentially, was it the hearing of the voices, or it was when you saw that creature and everything?
Yeah.
Okay, because then how much you played into that with Kesh when he was like in like captain's quarters and like just freaking out because of hearing things in the storm and everything.
Yeah.
See, fear table, terrible, but awesome at the same time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, lends itself to great stuff for sure. Okay, I have some other questions. If y'all don't, let me go back to those. Let's see. What was it? Oh, yeah. Is there anything you would change about this chapter if you could?
Yes.
What would you change?
I would design a monster for your one combat that you have to be affected in any way by anything you could do, Meghan.
I forgot about that.
Think about it at all, and then when the combat started and you're like, I do this thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's immune to that, and then you're like, that's what I have, and I was like, oh, what a dumb design choice. Like, I have no problem giving somebody an adversary that they cannot hurt one time, but if that's the only time that you're to do anything, like, major GM fail.
I remember you apologizing for that like the last night as we were rapping.
Yeah.
So this is Rossi like sharing his deepest regret.
I just had like a re-sinking feeling all over again when she's like, I'm gonna hit it with radiation, and I'm like, it does nothing. And I was like,
yeah, that was funny. I was like, oh. Then I looked through my powers and I was like, and I have a dagger. And I was like, I don't know that the spider's gonna care about my dagger. Yeah.
My man Rossi really wants to kill off the captain. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, not as great as that, but then there were, I would say, two moments. Not Hattie, I did it myself. Killian pulls out his gun and shoots does nothing to a smoke creature. And then Rossi soaked up the wounds, and it was like 18 points of damage for both of them as well, too. And you're both like, no! And I'm like, never again am I using a gun with Killian. Never! Not doing it.
Oh, that's funny. I will say one thing that I would have changed. I tried this thing. So whenever I wanted to do the Eden Redux section, and I was like, oh, okay, I have an idea. I want them to replay a fight they did in Eden Redux, but through the video game concept. So I asked Philip for his notes for that particular fight. And I hadn't seen Philip's notes before, and I was like, oh, these are interesting. This is a different way to do notes. He kind of like wrote out some like things to say and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm going to try that. So I didn't write out things for me to say. I wrote out chunks, a paragraph, because I'm really horrible at taking notes, and I don't really know how to distill things. I don't know what details to get rid of. I'm gonna put it that way. So what that ended up doing for me as a performer is I was just like, I'm now reading the page doing this. And I was like, oh no, I can't escape the page. And like, y'all probably didn't notice, but for me, every time I got to that scene, I was like, I'm leaving the room. I was so upset that I did that. So that's what I would change. I would go back and not do that in the 3 places that I did that. That's me. Anyone else have any thoughts?
I don't think I would change anything. I'm trying to think. I liked everything.
Yeah. I don't think I would change anything either.
Yeah.
Except the gun. That's the only thing I would change. Just don't use the gun. Don't use that.
Don't use the gun.
But
No gun. That's funny.
no gun.
No
No gun.
gun. Okay. What was the best aspect of making this chapter for you? What was your like most favorite thing just about the whole making? It doesn't have to even be it could be part of the shooting, but whatever.
It's getting to be in the same room with all of y'all.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel you. Yeah, and I feel like the role playing and being in the same room really go hand in hand.
Yes.
Well, like for me, this was especially true. So I moved back to America and knew very few people, right? And some of like the first new friends that I made when I got back was Meghan, and then slowly like meeting you guys and becoming really good friends and doing the show together. I have looked forward to every season recording and like coming down to LA and getting to hang with you all because because y'all are my friends, and it's been like such a joy to spend time with you. And I know a lot of y'all are in LA, and now Megan's up here and I get to hang out with Meghan, and I'm not jealous anymore. No,
We live so close together and did not even plan that. 2 miles away. We live 2 miles away.
Wow.
That's insane. I know.
So
I moved in and I was like, Randy, I live here. And he was like, what? Anyway, continue what you're saying.
no, I was just saying like that's my thing. Cause like every time I come down, I get to tell these amazing stories with these amazing performers. But more than that, I get to tell it with my friends. And that means a lot.
Yeah, I feel you. I really, the pandemic really, that was tough. That really took away a lot of stuff when it took away the in-person aspect for us. And and that it is just not the same. You lose so much this way. Like it's really, I value this too because it allows people to play from all over the world. It allows accessibility, which I think is wonderful. But for the role-playing side of things, when you really want to get into that performance and like throw energy back and forth, it's very hard to do this through a box and into a screen. Like I can only be this big. Like now my arms are lost, you know, like you lose shit there. So I feel you. All right. We have hit 8 o'clock, and this is where I said we would end because I don't want to take anyone's time any longer than we have to, but we'll take a few minutes here. Is there anything else y'all want to say before we close out of this chat back?
One other thing that I did enjoy, and you see it a lot on the screen, is between me and Randy. Because Eden Redux, Adam and Randy got yelled at definitely one time for talking so much. But Randy and I had so much fun. And I think that definitely carried over to this one. But we were on complete opposite sides from each other this time. So it's like stuff's happening and you just see the both of us like opposite.
Yeah,
We're still
when
sounding
there's
our big
sunshine.
moment. Oh my god. That was fun too. Like we were still having our Adam and Randy moments, but we couldn't like be off to the side like talking about it and getting in trouble.
Yeah.
Megan was like a good school teacher at that point.
There are decisions in the seating of things. But there really are, like, not to play on that entirely, but there really are. It's not just about that, but it's about it. We noticed this in Wild. I mean, I learned a lot of the things that I know, obviously, through Wild Cards and all the things we did in those days. But it is really interesting because we, like, during when we sat in our, like, particular dynamic initially, and then we tried to change it, it really was weird. And so it's really interesting how much where you sit, who you're sitting with, how your characters feel about each other affects the entire table dynamic. And so, yeah, whenever y'all choose characters and things like that, I really sit down, like, I'll talk to Jacey. I'm like, okay, how should I seat them? Like, where should I put them? You know, how is this, you know, what scenes are likely to play out? How is this going to affect them? Like, it really does have an effect. It's really interesting. So, and I thought it was interesting to see the shift between Eden Redux to Hell on Earth. We didn't get that opportunity, obviously, in Coven, since it was like this. It was virtual, but, yeah. That's funny. Awesome. Yeah. Anything else?
Wait, can I just ask a quick question? How would you have sat us in Coven, given that knowledge?
Oh, that's interesting. I probably would have I think I would have put Adam and Diana together and Philip and Randy together, because I think that would have been an interesting dynamic. And you know, I guess I'm saying that in hindsight. I don't know what I would have done initially, but in hindsight, you know, the dynamic that Leander and Bertram has is intense. However, if I was not playing, I would put Bertram and Piper together, because that dynamic, that push pull thing, I think would be fun to play with in that area. Yeah.
Or just put the siblings on either side and sit in the middle. That's okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Where's your sibling? Huh?
Season 3, that's where he's at.
Yeah. All right. Well, if y'all think of anything else, please feel free to hop in, but I'll go ahead and start wrapping everything up here. And I just, again, want to say thank you all for joining us tonight. Thank you all for joining us for this entire thing. It means a lot. I know there's a lot of time in between the seasons, but that's honestly because I burned myself out in the past doing this kind of work, and I understand better now that that's bad. So I'm trying to learn how to do that and not burn myself out, but it makes things take a lot longer. And I know that's not how entertainment works, but whatever, I'm doing whatever the hell I want instead. And that does mean that there's a long time between seasons. But yeah, I appreciate that you're still here and that you still are supporting us and all that we do, because it is a passion project that we're doing this because we love it. And so yeah, we have one more season. We're gonna tell the end of this story somehow.
Find out who the collector is.
Yeah, right.
That is my thing.
Here's what I will say to give y'all a hint, and I've told y'all this.
Okay.
In general, you generally always have all the information already. You just don't know how it fits together.
Well, there goes figuring it out.
It is that putting it together through the context is the hardest part. And yeah, this is a complicated one. We got our work cut out for us next season. Yeah.
Excited though.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool. But I will say, for y'all to know, I've got some outtakes I wanna get out for y'all. I've got an episode 0 that I'm gonna drop out for y'all that isn't gonna be as heavily edited, but we did record it. So that was before we started everything, and it is the first little bit that happens. It leads right into the first episode. It's 3 hours, I think, give or take. So get ready for that. That will drop eventually once I have a moment. And a few other things will come out. And then I'm not going to do Harbingers for a little bit. I'm going to take probably the rest of the year to focus on some other things and decompress. And then we will come back around and start planning it out. But it will probably be a while before you see the final season. And who knows what it's going to look like, because I certainly don't. It is an experiment. This whole thing has been an experiment. And this is the convergence of it. So, but seriously, first of all, thank you to my amazing cast and my crew. Cameron Rice was our director of photography, and we had Nick Levy and David, and I forget, David, how to say your last name. You were there so briefly, and I did not get to talk to you for very long, but thank you for coming and doing sound for us. And Jacey, of course, who was Trash Babe and did all the wonderful, helpful things for us. Thank y'all for all the amazing work that you do. It means a lot, and I really appreciate that you continue to come and do this shit with me.
Yes. Thank you for making such a wonderful story for us to play and be in your world, and you, Rossi, too, for letting us you tell the story as well. I mean, and just being around you guys. You guys are my friends, and I love you guys. And I'm gonna cry once this is over because we're gonna be done.
I know.
But I love you guys so much. Also, to all of you out there, thank you for being with us here and enjoying our storytelling, because we love doing this. It's another form of acting for me, especially. This is, I love it so much. So, and I want to thank you guys for being part of our life, part of our journey here on Harbingers, and can't wait for more.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited for more. I really enjoy doing this, and it means a lot, and it is not easy work, but it's rewarding in a lot of ways that are really meaningful, I think, for us as performers, and in all the different, for us in all the different aspects, producers, editing, all the things. But seriously, thank y'all. Thank you guys for doing a fucking amazing season. It would not have been the same without each and every single one of you. And we will see y'all soon. I think I've said y'all so many times in the last minute. I think that's it. You can follow us at Gone Rogue ENT, Gone Rogue Int. You can follow us at Harbingers RPG on most social platforms. We have a Reddit. I don't know. I'm just trying things. Gone Rogue has a Reddit. Go find it if you want. We're on Blue Sky. We're on whatever. It's in the description. Look at that. Follow these folks on all their places so you can see all the cool things that they're doing at any given time. And stay tuned. Gone Rogue's got some other things. We're going to do some more short films. I want to do some more of that kind of stuff. Jacey and I maybe are doing something. I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that. But it's there. That'll be a future thing. But, I think that's it. Thank y'all. And, yes.
So much love, everybody. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you nailed it. Nailed it.
All right. Okay. Bye. We'll see y'all soon.
Bye, guys. Love you guys.
Bye from season 3. Love you guys.